Welcome back, mi gentes, to the TheDnazChannel. I'm your wonderful host, DNaz. I like to think of myself as wonderful. And where are we? Where are we today? Today we are in the heavens. And what do I mean about being in the heavens? Well, today we are pondering life after death. That's right. We're pondering life after death. What do we know about life after death? Well, shit, really, because we're not dead yet. But we do have people that have died. We have these things called NDEs, near death experiences, okay? A lot of people have them. Even animals have them. There's been recent studies on animals before they die, and they seem to act they get a surge of energy right before we die, just like humans do. They seem to have the same kind of consciousness, working consciousness that we do. And they seem to also experience a near death experience, just like us, right? Even in religious texts, Jesus dying and resurrecting after 3 days, death and resurrection, death and resurrections. The Egyptians did this, right? The Egyptians know about this, and this is one thing why they were creating mummies, because they believed in that resurrection, okay? Because they knew something. They knew something about life after death. They knew something about reincarnation. A lot of religions believe in reincarnation, but it's hard to prove reincarnation because, right, most of us don't remember dying. We don't remember dying and our past lives, right? But some people do. There are a lot of cases of people having a near death experience and they come out and now they speak languages that they never even studied. They know how to play instruments that they never played before, right? You hear all about these crazy experiences. And what are these? How is this happening? How are they getting these abilities after a near death experience? Or you hear about people getting a hit to the head. They get hit really hard in the head, and now all of a sudden, they're a great pianist, violinist. They're a great, they know different languages, right? All they did was got hit in the head, and now all of a sudden, they're speaking a different language. And you're like, what the heck? Right? So, what is that? Right? What is that? So, this isn't only about life after death. Well, it is life after death, but it's also about resurrection. It's also about reincarnation. Okay? And if you want to know about where we get this idea from, it's all because people are having these, I want to say psychedelic experiences, but when you say that, it's kind of like referring to drugs. But you can have a psychedelic experience without drugs. We know you can do this by fasting. Native Americans, they used to willingly get tied to a tree for 3 days fasting with no food, because after a few days of no food, your body naturally releases DMT and serotonin, because we have DMT in our brain. So you also hear about these people that are taking DMT, the drug, right? And they are having the experience of connecting to the all, the oneness, right? A lot of the hippies that were taking a lot of acid back in the day, right? They were all coming out with this same conclusion. I read a comment on YouTube on a video, and it was really funny. They said, I find it hilarious how people that get really, really high all come to the same conclusion about life. That conclusion that we are related to the one, we are related to the universe, to everything. And it's true. People take psychedelics or get, really stoned or something, and then they come to this awakening, this realization that we are part of everything. People take DMT and they blast off and go into a space where they see all the fundamentals of the universe, the workings of the universe, and they see how we are all interconnected. You hear old folklore stories and Native American and all these different all the tribal people, different tribes. They all have this medicine and medicine men and shaman, and they all have the same conclusion that we are connected to everything, right? Mother Earth, nature. We all are connected to nature. We die. We know that energy doesn't go anywhere when we die. Energy can neither be created or destroyed. It is just always there. So when we die, our energy goes back into the universe. What happens with that energy? Well, it gets reused, it gets recycled. Okay. So since we know that as a fact that we are energy and we will die and we will be recycled back into the earth, since we know that, the best assumption is that we are connected to everything. So does that mean life after death? Well, that depends on what you consider life after death, right? Most people want to know, will I keep my consciousness? Will I have these same thoughts? Most likely not. Because if you are going to be reborn, you're most likely going to be reborn on with a different thought pattern, right? A different brain, picking up different frequencies. Because you have to remember, the world is frequency. Your consciousness is collecting information that is in the frequencies of the air. That's like what the Akashic records are. They say that there's this access of information, the information of all. You can access this cloud. It's like an iCloud, right? Think of the internet. Think of radio. We can't see it. We can't see radio waves, but you can turn on the radio and you can get a signal. But if you smash the radio, does the signal die? No, right? The radio is just receiving the signal through the antenna. So you have to think of yourself as the antenna, okay? The signal's there, right? And we know that each person has their very own frequency. Matter of fact, the government can pinpoint you exactly based on your frequency. Everybody has their very own personal frequency that they vibrate on. Because you have to remember, everything is vibration, everything is waves and frequency. You as an individual have your own wave and your own frequency that you are riding on. So that's safe to assume that our consciousness is on, it collects information from a certain frequency, depending on what frequency you're on. So maybe one person has telepathic powers, one person has extra perception, right? They can perceive things that you can't, right? But you might be able to perceive things that they can't. So you have to wonder, all right, we must all be on different frequencies. Even if, let's say you're on radio station 99.1, right? And you're trying to turn, and you turn to 99.2 and they're static, right? But then you go to 99.3 or something, and now you pick up a different frequency. Or have you ever been turning the dial of the radio and you're stuck between two frequencies, right? You can kind of hear the song that you were trying to play, or you're driving driving out of the range of the frequency and you're going into a range of another one. So you're kind of half hearing the song on your radio that you were listening to, and you're hearing another song that's on a different, because maybe that frequency over in this state is playing a different tune than the frequency over in this state, right? So two people can vibrate on the same frequency. If you've ever taken psychedelic drugs, if you've ever tripped before and you've been with a group of friends tripping with them, you know how you guys can sync. You can be having the same trip, you can sync, right? Or not even that, like just brain waves. Have you ever thought about someone and they called you, right? How crazy is that? Have you ever thought about someone or you know what I mean? Like you don't think about them, all of a sudden they called you. You guys were thinking about each other at the same time because you guys are both on that same frequency at that moment. So that just shows that consciousness rides on frequency waves and it collects information through these frequency waves. Just like the radio is sending songs over a frequency wave, like you turn the 99.1, you're getting the song that's on there, it's a rock station, right? That's the wave, right? That's the wave that your consciousness is riding on. So, most likely, the construction of your brain and your consciousness has set frequencies that it is collecting information from. The song in the radio station is information being sent over a frequency wave. And that's how everything works, right? Information is on these frequency waves. It just depends on what your brain is able to pick up, what your antenna is able to pick up. You are the antenna. But if you die, the signal doesn't go anywhere. The song is still playing, but the antenna is broken. So if you smash the radio, the song doesn't go anywhere. The song is still there playing, but your radio is turned off. Okay? That is like the world. All the information in the world, like the iCloud, is just there. It's there in the world, but it depends on what frequency you, the antenna, are able to pick up. Right? Can you pick up that song? Well, there is a divine song. There is a divine frequency that is you. And if you can tap in to the frequency that you were on in your past life, you would be able to remember. You just can't remember because in this life, you are on a different frequency. Life after death, my friends. Life after death. You are going to become a new antenna one day. You are going to be a whole new antenna, picking up different frequencies, riding on different waves. The goal here is to remember to get on the same frequency you were on in your past life. That is reincarnation. Somebody who remembers, somebody who has the same antenna in another life. Maybe it'll take you 10 more lifetimes from now, but maybe in 10 lifetimes you will be born into another being that has the same frequency as you had in this life and you might remember, right? Maybe you just need that hit in the head, right? Go ask your friend to punch you upside the head. I don't know. Maybe you need a near death experience, but you need to know that information rides on frequency. This is a world of information, okay? So it's like if you want to believe in the soul is your frequency, right? Your soul is the frequency. This meat suit that you're wearing, this body that you're in, is just the antenna hold that receiving the frequency, right? But you can put on a different meat suit and get the same frequency. You know that you and your dog, right, doesn't speak English, but you can be on the same thinking pattern. You guys can connect, right? So an animal can be on the same frequency as a human. All life can, because it is all just information waves and frequencies, okay? And what I want you to see is that you never die. You never die, okay? You will always be here. But you want to find your past frequencies, and in the future, you want to remember and be able to access all of your old frequencies. That is the goal of life. Because once you do that, you are immortal. You know that you never die because energy doesn't go anywhere. You just need to find your frequency. And another thing about riding a frequency wave, have you ever been your best? Have you ever, like, I don't want to, like always use drugs as an example, but you ever been out drinking and you're just like on point, you're on fire that night, right? Or you went to a party and you're just full of life, right? You are riding a high frequency, okay? Now, you don't even have to be partying or doing anything like that. Just have you ever been on your best game, right? Your mind is sharp as ever. You are just riding that high frequency, okay? There's low frequency, there's high frequency. Okay. You want to vibrate at high frequency. You want to be living your best. You want to be connected to the all. Okay. That God frequency, right? That's why I tell people you listen to music. Your emotions can go by the music you listen to. You can listen to a sad song and then you will be sad. You listen to a happy song and then you will be happy. Okay. It's all about the frequency that you are riding. Death is not a thing, it is just the antenna wearing out. You are just inside a meat suit that is an antenna. Okay. And it's very important that you take care of your antenna, your temple, because then you will be able to access all these frequencies. It is important to be able to strengthen your mind, to be able to connect to more frequencies, to ride the frequencies that you are best in. Okay. Because everybody has their own frequencies that give them their best selves. Okay. Where they are vibrating at their best, and you will find it. And once you realize that that is how the world works, by the magnetic and dielectric field of the universe, where all the frequencies come in, all the waves of the universe, once you realize that you just get recycled back into that, and you have the chance to one day remember or ride the same frequency that you're on today, you will realize that there is no death. That is life after death. That is heaven. You are immortal. You are the gods. You are the creators. The world is good. The world is true. The world is beautiful. And the world is for you. I am DNaz. I will live on forever, and so will you. And I will see you on the next episode and in the next life.